Hi, and welcome to Mental Health Corner, a web series that takes topics related to mental health and discusses them in order to bring more awareness. I'm your host, Lisa, and quick disclaimer, I am not a therapist, but I am someone who has firsthand experience in poor mental health and mental illnesses, and because of that, wants to bring more awareness so that way people are in the know. This show is designed to be a safe space. It's a place to have open discussion, to learn, and to, most importantly, show or give opinions. So, if you have a topic you want to hear, or you just have stuff you want to say about the topic in these videos, make sure to leave a comment, make sure to share, and make sure to let your voice be heard, because someone else may need to hear it, or you may learn something new. With that being said, let's get started with the episode.
Because, the one thing that you get with this disease, this one comes with the package, is you get a real sense of shame because your friends go, oh, come on, show me the lumps, show me the x-rays, and of course you got nothing to show. So you're like really disgusted with yourself because you're thinking, I'm not being carpet bombed, I don't live in a township. So you start to hear these abusive voices, but you don't hear one abusive voice. You hear about 100,000 abusive voices. Like if the devil had Tourette's, that's what it would sound like. But we all know in here, there is no devil, there are no voices in your head. You know that when you have those abusive voices, all those little neurons get together, and in that little gap, you get a real toxic, I want to kill myself kind of chemical. And if you have that over and over again on a loop tape, you might have yourself depression. Oh, and that's not even the tip of the iceberg. If you get a little baby and you abuse it verbally, its little brain sends out chemicals that are so destructive that the little part of its brain that can tell good from bad just doesn't grow. So you might have yourself a homegrown psychotic. If a soldier sees his friend blown up, his brain goes into such high alarm that he can't actually put the experience into words, so he just feels the horror over and over again. So here's my question. My question is, how come when people have mental damage, it's always an act of imagination? How come every other organ in your body can get sick and you get sympathy except the brain?
If you go on Twitter or any social media, you'll probably notice that there's a lot of jokes concerning mental health. We joke about being suicidal, we joke about depression, we joke about anxiety. And although these are coping mechanisms and these memes are funny, it's kind of alarming that while we're joking about this, not enough is being done about mental health. As someone who grew up right around the time where mental health really started to begin to be known as something serious, I can definitely say that where we are currently in society is way better than we were a couple years ago. A couple years ago, mental health was almost never talked about. It was seen as some sort of taboo, and if you were feeling some sort of way, it was told to just get over it or you'll get past it, and then nothing was done until it was too late. A lot more people are starting to reach out, a lot more people are starting to understand, or at least are trying to understand, mental health and mental illnesses. And compared to before, where people weren't really caring or really understood or tried to understand, which makes sense considering the fact that mental illnesses and mental health is seen as somewhat invisible. You can't see it like a broken arm or a broken leg or a black eye. Therefore, it's a lot easier to ignore it or to not give it attention. But things have changed significantly between 2008 and 2022. Just think about a couple years ago where Logic had that big hit that made us all have the suicide prevention hotline number ingrained into all of our minds. Being burnt out and taking a mental health day is seen as normal now, but is this really helping the bigger issue at hand? Just the other day, I read a headline that said mental health is becoming the next big epidemic in the US. Now, let's just read off a couple of statistics really quick. According to Mental Health America in 2019, just prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, 19.86% of adults experienced a mental illness. That's equivalent to nearly 50 million Americans. Youth in the US are living with major depression. A whopping 15.8% of youth experienced a major depressive episode in the past year. Over 2.5 million youth in the US have severe depression, and in that statistic, over 60% of youth with major depression don't receive treatment. Fewer than 1 in 3 youth with severe depression receive consistent mental health care nationally. Over 27 million adults in the U.S. with mental illnesses go untreated, and both adults and youth in the U.S. continue to lack adequate insurance coverage in order to get help for their mental illnesses. So with those statistics known, what's going on? Now, before we go forward, I do want to make sure that we are all on the same page and understand the differences between mental health and mental illnesses. To put it simply, mental health is your overall health mentally. It's your psychological, social, and emotional well-being. This can be either poor, mid, or good. Mental illnesses are different though. Mental illnesses are diagnosable conditions that affect your brain, to put it very simply. It affects your emotional, psychological, and social well-being. While poor mental health can cause mental illness, just because you have a poor mental health moment does not mean that you have a mental illness. So let's jump back into the topic, now that we know the definitions and the differences between the two. We all see mental health posts everywhere. We all see ads for mental health services everywhere. It's being talked about, everyone knows about it. We're all in the know. But something is not changing. While we have all of these new services, while we have all of these new dedicated pages talking about mental health, the realistic situation at hand is the fact that, as the previous statement and previous statistics said, not a lot of people are able to get treatment and get help for what they're dealing with, whether it's financial or they just don't have the ability to. But what can we do individually? Well, for starters, we can start bringing mental illnesses into the topics of mental health. Let's be real. As much as these journaling, lighting a candle, taking a bath, and taking a trip suggestions are awesome, I would love to do that. Realistically, for someone who is dealing with a mental illness, that's not going to be a fix-all. It's like slapping a band-aid onto a very obviously broken wall. That giant crack that you see that's continuing to get worse, yeah, that Hello Kitty band-aid isn't doing anything, I promise. While the normalization of mental health and being able to talk about it openly and honestly is a great thing and should continue to be a thing, we should be normalizing both mental health and mental illnesses. We should be having open discussions about it, and we should be making sure that we are in the know about both. Both are extremely important. You should be taking care of your mental health because your brain is it. That's your core. Everything goes to the brain before it goes to everything else. Your brain sends the signals to everything. It's not the other way around. If your brain is sick, that means everything is sick. They are very serious and unfortunately can cause the demise of somebody. That's why our suicide rates are so high. But I want to pass this question on to you. What do you think? Do you think it's negative? Do you think it's positive? What are your thoughts on it? And let me know if you learned anything or if you agreed with anything in this video. And if you think it's beneficial, make sure to share it. And although this one was just a surface topic, we'll be delving deeper and deeper into other topics involving mental health and mental illnesses. So I hope to see you in the next episode. To make sure that you're here, make sure to subscribe to my channel. And also, if you want to see more of me, or if you want to see what I'm up to, I'm also on Instagram. Instagram is where I post the majority of my poetry and shorter clippets. So if you don't want to watch a full entire video of me talking and rambling about a topic, even though I try really hard not to, you do not know how many takes I did. You can also see short reels that talk about mental illnesses and mental health issues on my Instagram as well, if you want more than just poetry and cute pictures, because I take very cute pictures, just saying. Thank you so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you in the next episode. Bye!